Part 16. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 151. Xiaoming's mall list displays 100 items. Among them, there are 66 self-resurrection stones. There are 22 reincarnation team contracts. There are also some other things. Xiaoming did not look closely, and quickly bought 2 more team contracts. Then he consumed 3 contracts to invite Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen. The 2 accepted the invitation. So the 3 were pulled together by the space. The team PG666606130007 was officially established. This team name is too annoying. It is estimated that many newly established teams are disgusted. The 3 hurriedly checked how to change the team name. As a result, Xiaoming got a team name changer worth 50 points from the rating mall. Xiaoming is already a little accustomed to the routine of the reincarnation space. According to his sister's suggestion, the team was named Mingjing Team. Zhang Wen's protest was invalid and was easily suppressed by Xiao Jing'er. The space has completed the scoring and reward work for everyone. Only a little time is left for everyone to add each other as friends so that they can contact each other later. Zhang Wen, Xiao Jing, and Xiao Ming are numbered 005, 6, and 7, Zhao Yongmeng is numbered 001, and Zhenbo is numbered 003. The middle-aged woman is numbered 009, and according to Zhao Yongmen's suggestion, she was given the code name Auntie Wang. Probably these 2 words. Xiaoming also noticed that even after adding friends, Xiaoming could not see some people's space tokens, the rings on their hands. The only people who can see it are those who know each other, Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen, and Zhao Yongmeng. This is a bit troublesome. The one who really knows Zhao Yongmeng should be Xiaoming, and the only one who came to the reincarnation space can be Xiaoming himself. This is easy to cause trouble. If the ring on my hand also follows when I possess Xiaoming, and Zhao Yongmeng sees it again, how should I explain it? Xiaoming quickly asked for help from the space. I bought a ring hiding charm worth 100 points and completely covered the ring on my hand, so that no one could see it. Novice mission, Resident Evil 1. The world ends, and everyone is teleported to their respective residences in the reincarnation space. It is equivalent to the personal space in the game. Xiaoming and the other 3 were teleported to the team space. A ring-shaped space that is as white as jade. There is almost nothing in the space. There are 3 doors on the ring wall of the space, and the numbers are displayed on the doors. It should be the personal space of 3 people. There is a round table in the center of the ring, and the 3 chairs are obviously prepared for the 3 people. There seems to be a holographic projection display in the center of the table. At present, only the time is displayed. 0:01:04 on June 13, 6666 in the Pangu calendar. The seconds are still moving forward with time. Brother Wen stretched out his fat hand, pointed at the time and said with a tremor, 1 minute and 04 seconds, we have spent 3 hours in the mission, only 1 minute. Xiao Jing'er shook her head, no, fatty. I think this minute refers to the minute we are free. The time of the mission is probably not counted. Xiaoming also nodded and agreed, yes, the time we spend in the mission world should be static relative to the outside world. Xiaoming said this because he had actually asked the space this question. I was also shocked to hear the answer at that time. The reincarnation space is indeed very powerful. Different worlds have different speeds of time flow, which is easy to say. But stopping the time of a world is another matter. What level of power is this? The 3 sat on the chairs and discussed the various rules of the reincarnation space, and occasionally asked questions to the space. The space will also give answers according to the situation. Occasionally, holographic projection will be used. After discussion, the 3 people probably understood the rules of the reincarnation space a little bit. The reincarnation candidate will first receive an invitation from the space, After accepting the invitation, the space will inform the time of the novice task and restrict them from leaking information about the reincarnation space. Only those who accept the invitation will be teleported to the novice task world. People like Xiaoming who forcefully cut in line are exceptions among exceptions. Candidates who complete the novice task will become temporary reincarnations. Get the token of the space. Again, Xiaoming's early receipt of the token is a special case. Temporary reincarnations are forced to perform a random task once a week. The time is 0 o'clock every Monday. Although the task time is arranged according to the time of Pangu star. But Xiaoming and others do not think that the power of the reincarnation space is only on Pangu star. On the contrary, Xiaoming thinks that the coverage of the reincarnation space should be very large. Pangu, the solar system, and the Milky Way may not be able to accommodate it. Such a time arrangement can only mean that the temporary reincarnations are still wandering around the periphery of the space power. They have not touched the core at all. Completing the tasks given by the space can get a score. The score can be used to buy things in the score mall. It can also be used for resurrection. The things sold in the score mall generally do not directly enhance the combat effectiveness of the reincarnation. Things like resurrection stones and team contracts have little to do with individual combat effectiveness. The items in the score mall can only be used by the person himself. They cannot be given to each other. Otherwise, people like Xiaoming will seriously affect the fairness of the space. Some people may think, there are not many people like Xiaoming, only 7, what is the space afraid of? In fact, there are indeed not many people at Xiaoming's level, only 7 including him. His temporary authority is still the most basic. But there are still many people who get special treatment like him. The treatment may be lower than Xiaoming's, and some are locked at 50 points or 20 points. But the situation is similar. The main restrictions of the reincarnation space are those people. Compared to the 100 items displayed in Xiaoming's mall, there are only 20 items in Xiaojing'er and Zhangwen's raiding mall. If you want to refresh, you have to wait until the next task is completed. Xiaojing'er and Zhangwen's ratings are both 25 points. It is much higher than the basic rating of 10 points, which shows that their previous strategy was still successful. In addition to the rating system, the reincarnation space also has a shopping voucher system. Shopping vouchers can also be used to buy things, and the corresponding one is the shopping voucher mall. The things in the shopping mall can directly improve the combat effectiveness of the reincarnation. It is not as deceptive as the rating mall. There are 2 main sources of shopping vouchers. One is that Xiaoming completes the side quests, killing people also counts, during the mission, and you will get the corresponding shopping vouchers. The other is that when the task is completed, in addition to giving the rating, the system will also give rewards according to the overall performance of the reincarnation. This reward is the shopping voucher. Xiaojing'er and Zhangwen both got 2 D-level shopping vouchers. For A-level shopping vouchers, Xiaojing'er got 8 and Wen Ge got 7. Xiaoming did not get a single shopping voucher. Because the space has converted all the rewards given to Xiaoming into source energy, including the 2 shopping coupons he got before. Shopping coupons are different from ratings, and friends can give each other gifts. Shopping coupons are actually equivalent to the currency of the reincarnation space. Can they be given as gifts? Oh, carrot. Xiaoming quickly asks Xiaojing'er for an E-level shopping coupon. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 152. Of course, the reincarnation space will not leave such obvious loopholes. When Xiaojing'er confirmed that the E-level shopping voucher would be given to Xiaoming, the shopping voucher in Xiaoming's hand immediately turned into source energy and was absorbed by his green superpower grass. Humph! Xiaoming could only hum helplessly and proudly. Tears secretly flowed in his heart. He really wanted to strengthen himself and quickly improve his strength through things like bloodline skills in the reincarnation space. Xiaoming was not like the protagonists in some novels he read, who wanted to become a Buddha or a saint and fight against the world. He thought this kind of thing was boring. Then what is interesting? Games. Xiaoming wanted to become more powerful just to make it easier to pass the secret realm by playing games. This motivation is really boring. Fortunately, he entered the InlimitedFlow reincarnation space. The purpose of Xiaoming's personal strength was to play games better. Well, he is comparable to the beggar who wants to beg for food with a pure gold begging bowl. But this can't be blamed on Xiaoming. He did not encounter the problem of insufficient strength in reality. And some problems can't be solved by being stronger. Facing the Han government, military and major family forces, how much personal strength should be improved to cope with it? Even if you have S-level strength, you will probably be suppressed by them, right? Forget this wishful thinking. Besides, I don't think they are enemies, so there is no need to confront them head-on. It seems that working for them is not bad. So the lack of combat power of the main body actually only drags Xiaoming down in the game. Xiaoming is unwilling to accept it. But Xiaoming didn't realize that it was precisely because of his lack of individual strength that he used his brain to play all kinds of tricks with superpowers. If he had enough strength, he wouldn't do these tricks. The result is likely to be worse than now. Everything really has its pros and cons. You should look at the problem dialectically. The same is true for superpowers. Xiaoming can achieve something because of his superpowers, and he can't use the reincarnation space to strengthen himself because of his superpowers. It can be said that Xiao He is the one who makes him successful and Xiao He is the one who makes him fail. Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, alas, no more. After taking a few deep breaths, Xiaoming calmed down his fluctuating mood. Xiaoming continued to participate in the discussion with Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen. Mao Moer, the naughty child, also joined the discussion. The topic that Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen were excitedly discussing was exactly the pain in Xiaoming's heart, the shopping mall. There was no shopping mall in Xiaoming's VIP interface. According to them, the shopping mall is similar to the raiding mall, and both refresh items after each mission. The number is also 20. Most of them are items from the world that has been experienced. So now most of them are things from the world of Resident Evil 1. But there are exceptions, and the source of the last one is random. It comes from a world that the reincarnation has not experienced. There are also a few things that can be exchanged, but they are not among the 20 items. They are the items that the reincarnation obtained by himself in the mission, and the price of exchanging them is much lower than the market price. For example, Xiaoming gave Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen a copy of the T-virus before. The price they exchanged for this item was 2 E-level shopping vouchers. However, the normal price of the T-virus in the shopping mall is 1 D-level shopping voucher. The difference is 5 times. All the items in the mall are affordable for the reincarnationist himself, and items that exceed the net worth of the reincarnationist will not appear. This means that the most expensive item is generally not bought by the reincarnationist. Because that thing usually requires the reincarnationist to sell all his net worth to buy it back. It is just for you to see. Even if you become a temporary reincarnationist. There is no digital body as mentioned in the novel, and there is no display of personal attributes. There is no option to increase personal attributes. There is only a rough classification, which is estimated to be classified according to SAB-DEF. Items, skills, bloodlines, and reincarnationists all follow this classification. Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen are both F-level newbies. Judging from the purchasable goods provided by the space, it is probably intended for temporary reincarnationists to buy some guns and ammunition to arm themselves. You don't have to go unarmed for the next mission. You can earn higher scores and more shopping coupons. But this is the only way for ordinary reincarnationists. Mingjing's team must certainly find a new way to live up to Xiao Ming's golden thigh. There are guns and ammunition. Xiao Ming stuffed a lot in the housekeeper space. Hot weapons are not T-viruses, and they don't need space to ensure quality. Xiao Ming's housekeeper space not only has arms, but also the skeleton knife Manalis, the ghost mat, and 2 rotten zombies, as well as a large number of creepers and zombies. Fortunately, Xiao Ming has grown in the reincarnation space, and now the housekeeper space in the real world has expanded to more than 20 cubic meters. When playing games, the housekeeper space is limited by the game system. Although the volume is much larger, it is impossible to stuff in the arms. It's different in reality. Alice and Matt, 2 undead arms, can be easily stuffed into the space. According to Xiao Ming's estimation, it would be no problem to stuff living things in there, as long as they prepared enough air, food, and water. Many things did not need to be purchased. Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen could focus their resources on strengthening their strength. Zhang Wen spent 1 D-level shopping voucher to exchange for the random item in the mall, Fire of Telekinesis. Such a suitable item made Xiao Ming deeply suspect that this was a preferential treatment given by the reincarnation space. It was probably for his own sake. This was his boastfulness. The random items given by the reincarnation space for the first time were generally very suitable for the current situation of the reincarnationist. If it was really random, it would be a bit difficult. How many reincarnation worlds are there? It is estimated that there are at least 8,000 if not 10,000. It will take a long time to get a suitable item randomly. The probability is too low. Zhang Wen exchanged another D-level exchange voucher for the basic strengthening potion produced by the Resident Evil space. It can strengthen the user's physical fitness. Using the strengthening potion greatly improved Zhang Wen's physical fitness. According to Xiao Ming's observation, physical fitness, strength, and agility can all reach about 1.5, which were less than 0.7 before. The improvement in physical aspects is obvious. There is no obvious bonus in intelligence and spirit. It is indeed a very basic strengthening potion. What the 3 people don't know is that it is a bit far-fetched to count this potion as a product of the Resident Evil world. It is also a helpless move by the space to take care of temporary reincarnations. I wrote down that Brother Wen used up his telekinetic fire again. There was no obvious improvement in his physical and mental aspects, but the amount of telekinesis was directly increased by about 10 times. Zhang Wen's evaluation was suddenly raised from F level to E level. Of course, he is still a little bit unworthy of the name for the time being. Brother Wen's strange telekinesis is only for pleasing the eyes, and it is not very helpful in combat. He must make some adjustments to have E-level combat power. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 153. Looking at Brother Wen's total mental power, which was originally less than 3% of his own, it increased to about a quarter of his own in a blink of an eye. It is impossible to say that Xiao Ming is not a little envious and jealous. Brother Wen's mental power increased too easily. But to be honest, Xiao Ming's mental power did not take much effort to increase. What really makes Xiao Ming jealous is that Zhang Wen can accept the enhancement of the reincarnation space while he cannot. Although Brother Wen and Xiao Jing'er are not as good as himself at the moment. But it is foreseeable that after a few reincarnation worlds, it is a foregone conclusion that the 2 of them will surpass him. So Xiao Ming is envious, and he is also observing Brother Wen's enhancement process with 200% attention. I hope to learn some tricks. The enhancement process is relatively short, Xiao Ming can only observe a rough idea, and have a little experience. If he wants to copy it, he is still far away. But this is already a great encouragement for Xiao Ming. If he can understand a little, it means that he has a chance to get started. If he can't understand it at all, it will be troublesome. In the reincarnation space, Xiaoming's mood fluctuates like a roller coaster. After learning something, he was about to be happy, but a strike made him almost vomit blood. Zhang Wen spent 6 E-level shopping coupons to buy 3 skill books, basic firearms, basic close combat, and basic footwork. After using them, Zhang Wen obtained the LV1 level of these 3 skills. It is about the level of an ordinary policeman. Similarly, although it is not strong for the time being, it will definitely become stronger in the future. The gap is getting wider and wider. Xiaoming also paid attention to the process of Zhang Wen learning these skills, but it was even more difficult to understand. Xiaoming, who was hit in the heart, ran to his own rating mall to have a look. For fun, he bought everything in it at once. Carrot, it really made me feel much better. No wonder girls go shopping when they are in a bad mood. It really makes people feel better. Especially when Xiaoming saw the 3 basic skill training room usage cards he bought. He felt even better. Brother Wen was naturally hit. The basic skills were learned, but if he wanted further training, he needed to use the skill training room. You need to use a card to use the skill training room, and the card is exchanged for a score. Shit. Score is too precious. Who would be willing to spend it like this? The reincarnation space is really black-hearted. If he knew which game made the space bad, Zhang Wen would send a 4 and throw some rotten tomatoes and rotten eggs to the producer's house. Zhang Wen's enhancement has come to an end for the time being. The remaining E-level shopping voucher should be kept, and there is no rush to use it. Xiao Jing'er's enhancement has just begun. It's the first time, and the 3 of them think it's better to do it one by one. The item that Xiao Jing'er randomly got in the shopping mall is a jade slip worth 2 D-level shopping vouchers basic Qi training Ju. And it also specifically noted, unlimited users. Although it is a basic skill, you can tell from the price that it is not ordinary. Looking at the name, you can guess that this is probably the way to cultivate immortals. Finally, I saw the note, it's too obvious. The reincarnation space almost said directly that this is a special gift prepared for the VIP Zhang Xiaoming. Xiao Jing'er bought it immediately without any hesitation. As a matter of course, she handed it to Xiaoming. Xiaoming took it calmly. Under the gaze of the 2 and Mao he put the jade slip on his forehead. A ball of light moved from the jade slip to Xiaoming's head. The jade slip passed on the knowledge and understanding of Qi training Ju to Xiaoming, but did not actively transform Xiaoming's body or mind. This is different from strengthening potions, fire of telekinesis, and those basic skills. Those things will directly transform the body and mind of the reincarnation. The jade slip is more like a book and a teacher. It is only responsible for teaching the reincarnation. As for whether it can learn, it depends on the reincarnation's own understanding. Xiaoming can only be considered average in understanding. But with 2 sources of energy on him, there is almost no obstacle to learning Qi training Ju. In less than a minute, Xiaoming has learned the first level of Qi training Ju. He can be regarded as a cultivator. Although there is no method of use, the amount of true Qi is pitiful. But with the true Qi, Xiaoming felt that everything was very different. He had sharp ears and eyes, a strong body, and could kill a cow with 1 punch. These were all Xiaoming's illusions, but he was much more energetic, which was real. Xiao Jing'er would definitely not suffer a loss. Because when Xiaoming was putting things into the housekeeper's space before, he saw the cup of life. Xiaoming used his original superpower silver source energy to make life essence once. He took it for himself. The cup of life entered a cooling period. But that cooling time should be for silver source energy. Didn't Xiaoming get a new green source energy? It should be okay to use it, right? Let's stop talking nonsense and try it. Xiaoming really extracted a new life essence using green source energy. Of course, it also entered a cooling period. In fact, Xiaoming's green source energy was not enough, but it might be because he was in the reincarnation space. The recovery speed of green source energy was very fast. Much faster than the recovery speed of silver source energy. So after persisting for a while, he gathered enough energy and extracted new life essence. After taking this drop of life essence, Xiao Jing'er's physical fitness was also improved several times. If measured from a gaming perspective, her physical and mental attributes are similar to Xiaoming's, which are also around 5-3s. She has greatly surpassed Zhang Wen and is on par with Xiaoming. Not only that, she also spent 6 E-level shopping coupons to learn 3 basic skills: firearms, close combat, and footwork. Now, if they fight again, I guess neither she nor Zhang Wen will be a match. Of course, the premise is that Xiaoming does not use the mind beast. Otherwise, once the alien appears, who will compete with him? According to the regulations of the reincarnation space, temporary reincarnationists can enter and leave the reincarnation space twice a week. The time of participating in the mission is also included, so temporary reincarnationists can enter and exit the reincarnation space once a week at any time. Of course, if there is no mission, entering the reincarnation space is just entering the team space. The team space has everyone's personal space. According to the personality of the reincarnation space, both the team space and the personal space can purchase furniture for decoration. And there are strict restrictions. The level of the team will limit the types and quantities of furniture that can be purchased in the team space. The same is true for the personal space of the reincarnation, which is limited by the level of the reincarnation. You can't decorate it just because you have money. For now, the team is an F-level team, and the members are also F-level members, based on the end of the last mission, so no furniture can be bought. So the 3 people plus Mao Mao ran to Xiaoming's personal space to play. There is another world here. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 154. The power controls the vast ocean and the Yehai Sea. The power controls the vast ocean, the tide surges and the silver mountain fish enters the cave, the Yehai Sea, the waves roll and the snow waves are out of the abyss. The corners of wood and fire are high up, and the East Sea is towering. There are red cliffs and strange rocks, and sharp cliffs and strange peaks. On the red cliffs, there are 2 colorful phoenixes singing. In front of the sharp cliffs, a unicorn lies alone. You can hear the crowing of golden pheasants on the peaks, and watch dragons come in and out of the caves. There are longevity deer and fairy foxes in the forest, and magical birds and black cranes on the trees. Yao grass and exotic flowers never fade, and green pines and cypresses are evergreen. Fairy peaches always bear fruit, and tall bamboos always retain clouds. A stream is full of vines, and the grass on the 4 sides is new. It is the place where hundreds of rivers meet, the pillar of heaven, and the roots of the earth that will never change. The description of Huaguo Mountain in Journey to the West is like a fairyland, which makes people fascinated. Unfortunately, the scenery presented in film and television works always lacks that taste. This is also unavoidable. How can ordinary humans in reality create a fairyland? Even the scenery in the fantasy is still a long way off. But things that humans can't do are easy for the reincarnation space. As a VIP, Xiaoming has special treatment. His personal space can be decorated at will, he doesn't have to spend money, and there are various themes to choose from. Because he just learned the Qigong formula and consciously stepped into the door of immortal cultivation. Xiaoming is very shameless and wants to name his personal space Kunlun. Fat Guardian Zhang Wen disagreed and suggested calling it Guangmingding. This is the style of a leader. Mao Mao Er's opinion is to call it USB and decorate it as a virtual space. Everyone unanimously ignored this naughty child. In the end, Xiao Jing'er overruled everyone, so the theme of Xiaoming's personal space was finally selected as Huaguo Mountain. /Omega, this girl probably watched too many movies. The indescribable beauty is even better than the description in Journey to the West. This is the means of the reincarnation space. In fact, it is not an exaggeration to say that the reincarnation space was established by immortals. It is very likely that the legend of the immortals on Pangu Star is related to the reincarnation space. Xiaoming chose the theme of Huiguo Mountain for his personal space. Outside the mountain, there is an endless sea and sky, but unfortunately they are all virtual images. The range of activities that everyone can really move in is only within Huiguo Mountain. The various flowers, trees, birds, beasts, insects, and fish on the mountain are also just images. It is okay for you to interact with them. But if you want to kill a beast and roast it for food, sorry, this cannot be done. There are 72 caves on Huiguo Mountain and the most famous one is the Water Curtain Cave. Xiao Jing'er was the first to occupy it. Later, she changed her mind and thought that the name of Lotus Cave sounded better, so she moved to Lotus Cave. Brother Wen casually chose Haitian Cave. Xiaoming naturally lived in Water Curtain Cave. The treatment of reincarnationists and VIPs is too different. Temporary reincarnationists only have a small personal space, which is about one room and one living room. VIPs can own an entire mountain. It is no problem to station several divisions of troops in Huiguo Mountain. Of course, Journey to the West was also written by mortals, and the description of Flower and Fruit Mountain is definitely different from the real fairyland. Xiaoming's Flower and Fruit Mountain is just a processing of the reincarnation space based on human imagination. It is not a real fairyland. And even if the real fairyland is placed in front of people, we may not recognize it. The three people ran around in the Flower and Fruit Mountain and had a lot of fun. If it weren't for the fact that the Magic Planet game could not be played in the reincarnation space, the two of them would probably stay here. The rule of the space is this: if the reincarnation leaves, it is necessary to consume the energy of the space token to come in again. That's why there is a limit on the number of times. But if the reincarnation stays in the space and doesn't leave, the space doesn't matter. If you want, you can live here for a lifetime. After playing in the Flower and Fruit Mountain for a while, Xiaoming used a basic skill training room usage card and went to the training room to practice the Qi training formula. The training room can provide an environment with richer spiritual energy, and at the same time provide a formation that can make people concentrate and calm. 1 hour of cultivation here is equivalent to 1 hour in Pangu. Xiaoming doesn't know what the concentration of spiritual energy on Pangu is, so it's really hard to compare. At the same time, Xiaoming has a better bonus effect in cultivation, which is superpowers. His dual source energy can be converted into spiritual energy, which can be said to be 100 times more effective with half the effort. 1 card for 1 hour. Xiaoming only used 1 card, and he felt that the progress of Qi training had improved a lot. When Xiaoming finished his cultivation and returned to Huiguo Mountain, Mao Mao told him that Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen had already returned to Pangu. Xiaoming was not in a hurry. He recalled the feeling of practicing Qi, consolidated his realm, and then turned out a card, Random World Invitation. It costs 100 points in the rating mall, and only 1 card was bought this time. Each card allows the user to enter a random world to perform a task. In addition, 3 E-level task cards worth 50 points were bought, which allow the user to get a new task in the reincarnation world. The invitation letter is equivalent to allowing the reincarnationist to come to the task 1 more time. But it's worth 100 points. If you don't get 100 points in the mission, you lose. And the mission card is an item that allows the reincarnation to stay in a certain world for a period of time. 50 points is also quite expensive. I'm afraid only free VIPs like Xiaoming would be willing to use these two things. Even if others can afford it, I'm afraid they don't dare to buy it casually, right? But Xiaoming is a VIP, so he shouldn't have any missions. What would happen if he used the invitation? Just try it and you'll know. Xiaoming chose to use the random world invitation. The newly lit candles and lanterns illuminated the room, and the wooden furniture in the room showed the ancient Chinese style. Xiaoming couldn't tell which dynasty it was from. The room was not big and rectangular. At the end was a red wooden bed, which was neatly made. A reddish-brown floor lantern stood beside the bed. On the left and right sides of the bed were a pair of hangers and a set of tables and chairs. Further ahead was a screen, and behind the screen was the door. This was a rather simple guest room. "It's getting late, Mr. Zhang, please rest here. Grandma will make arrangements tomorrow. Xiao Qian will leave." The woman who spoke was dressed in white, without a speck of dust, her eyes were bright and her long hair was flowing. She looked like a fairy, a ghost, or a god. It took Xiaoming a long time for her to leave before he came back to his senses. Although he knew that the other party was a ghost, not a human, he still couldn't help himself. Sitting on the bed, Xiaoming thought carefully about how things turned out to be like this. Well, it's unlucky. When Xiaoming first entered this world, he was in a primitive forest. Because he was a VIP, the space didn't give him any tasks, and he could only stay in this world for 3 days. This world not only has fresh air, but also rich spiritual energy. It's not bad to stay here for 3 days, even if it's just to practice Qigong. It's free anyway. Of course, Xiaoming didn't start practicing right away, so he had to wander around for a while. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 155. Treating the wilderness as his own courtyard, Xiaoming, wearing a long green gown, with his hands behind his back, strolled leisurely in the mountains and forests, looking left and right. The more he walked, the deeper his frown became. This is not an ordinary mountainous forest area. Although Xiaoming has never been to any primeval forest on Pangustar, the flower and fruit mountain in the reincarnation space cannot be counted. But he has entered an environment similar to the primeval forest in the Hunter's Secret Realm. It feels completely different from here. Although the light there is also dim and murderous. In Xiaoming's eyes, he can see the vigorous life energy everywhere. But what he sees here is only the gloomy, terrifying and weird. There must be something wrong here. Turning a corner, between the green mountains and green waters, a beautiful and magnificent pavilion appeared in front of him. Xiaoming did not feel happy at all. A building suddenly appeared in the wilderness. It made him feel particularly discordant. This is the routine of horror movies. He focused his eyes on the telekinesis and looked carefully, only to see the black evil aura rolling and lingering inside and outside the attic like a dark cloud. He focused his telekinesis on his ears and could vaguely hear the sound of thousands of cries. He focused his telekinesis on his nose, and the rotten and corrupt smell almost knocked him to the ground. This is definitely not a good place, and it is not suitable to stay for long. This is a new use of telekinesis that Xiaoming has just invented. According to the situation of telekinesis, focusing on the eyes is called condensation, which can see the life energy and various auras clearly. This enhances vision, but what about other senses? Can they also become stronger in the same way? So Xiaoming tried to use telekinesis to strengthen other senses. The results were remarkable. "Excuse me, is this young master lost? If you don't mind." When Xiaoming turned around and was about to leave, 3 women came towards him. It seemed that a lady was with 2 maids. The 2 maids were already beautiful and good-looking. The leading lady was even more beautiful and charming. The young lady saw that Xiaoming did not avoid him, but took the initiative to ask him. There was a seductiveness in her voice. Unfortunately, under Xiaoming's enhanced sense of telekinesis, he saw the real side behind the beautiful skin, black hair. These 3 women must be demons and monsters, and they have extremely evil thoughts. Before she could finish her words, Xiaoming threw a primary light ball. The girl who was hit in the face unexpectedly howled miserably, her face was burnt black, and green smoke came out. The two maids had never met such a person who was so unsympathetic and started fighting as soon as they met. They were stunned for a while. They were stunned, but Xiao Ming was not. Light balls were thrown out one after another, hitting the three women continuously. The two maids were hit by 3 light balls each and turned into ashes, without even a corpse left. The young lady was more resistant and even wanted to fight back. But after the maid died, Xiao Ming's attack was also concentrated. She was beaten so hard that she trembled all over and was unable to fight back. After being hit by about 15 or 16 light balls, the lady was beaten to ashes, and she didn't even say a harsh word. Light ball is the magic that Xiao Ming's role explorer learned in the game. It increases damage to evil and undead creatures. It is not used many times in the game, but I didn't expect to use it outside the game. Thanks to the usual practice. Of course, Xiao Ming used it so smoothly this time, mainly because of the effect of adrenaline. It was really a bit stimulated. Xiao Ming has been dealing with things like undead zombies for a long time. A disgusting appearance can't scare him. What really made Xiao Ming's adrenaline surge was the evil breath, which was too strong. Facing it, he was like a baby and completely unable to resist. When he turned around to run away, he encountered these 3 blind guys who blocked his way. In order to survive, Xiao Ming exploded once. It was said that it was a short time. From Xiao Ming turning around to run away to killing the 3 women, it was only a matter of tens of seconds. The owner of the pavilion only reacted at this time and was unwilling at that time. I thought, if you want to run, just run. Why did you kill my men? Nonsense, if I don't kill them, how can Xiao Ming run? Several vines shot out from the surrounding mountains and forests, stabbing Xiao Ming with 7 or 8 transparent holes. His internal organs were all crushed, and blood was pouring from his body. Xiao Ming died on the spot. You are dead. Do you want to consume one self-resurrection stone to revive? The prompt from the space came in time. Xiao Ming thought, what's the point of resurrection? Won't I still die if I revive here? I have to change places anyway. The considerate space naturally gave a choice, resurrection on the spot or resurrection at a random place. So Xiao Ming was resurrected in a forest somewhere. Looking around, it seemed that he didn't leave far, and was still in that forest. Fortunately, he didn't randomly go to the vicinity of the small building. Xiao Ming secretly rejoiced while identifying the direction. Suddenly, a voice that was neither male nor female came from the air. You're not dead? Why didn't you run further? Are you afraid that Grandma can't find you? The same scene was played out again, and Xiao Ming died again. I hope that the next resurrection can be farther away. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. The second resurrection was still in the woods, and Grandma still found and killed him. Then the third and fourth times. By the fifth resurrection, Xiao Ming gritted his teeth and consumed 16 resurrection stones. I thought if it doesn't work this time, I'll give up. I feel a little sad. Unfortunately, Xiao Ming still resurrected in the woods. Alas, 4 times can actually draw a conclusion. This time is a bit of a waste. Just when Xiao Ming closed his eyes and waited for death, the imaginary attack never came. Is Grandma out of blue? Of course not. After a while, another girl in white came to Xiao Ming and bowed down. Greetings to the young master, this is my grandma's Lady Nai Xiaoqian. Grandma invites the young master to come to the humble residence for a talk. I wonder what the young master wants. Xiao Ming swore that he was definitely not dazzled by beauty. The consequences of not going are probably death again, but there is still a chance of survival if you go. Moreover, my mission lasted for 3 days, and I had gained nothing so far. It was a bit embarrassing to just die and return to Huaguo Mountain. Just go and have a look, maybe you can gain something. And judging from Xiaoqian's attitude, Grandma is probably a little scared. It's fun when you kill people. But when you encounter a person who cannot be killed, there is no clue about his method of resurrection. This is beyond the scope of Grandma's understanding. The incomprehensible method made Grandma really scared. I'm afraid this person has a deep background, and it's best to make up for it. Therefore, Grandma did not directly capture Xiaoming, but sent the most beautiful woman to invite him. It is to show Xiaoming's sincerity in reconciliation. Originally, it would be more sincere to invite me in person, but my grandma's appearance is not good enough, and I'm afraid it will be self-defeating. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 156. Grandma's plan is still relatively optimistic. Anyway, Xiaoming is not dead, and it is estimated that he must have consumed some precious magic weapons and spells. Giving more natural treasures, magic weapons and spiritual tools, and doubling the compensation, it is estimated that he can get away with it. Maybe he can also build a relationship. Grandma's backer, the Black Mountain Old Demon, has some relationship with the underworld. Otherwise, if Grandma plays with the souls of the dead here, she would have been found by the underworld long ago. And Xiaoming's immortality is also closely related to the underworld in Grandma's view. It is very likely that they will become friends after talking. Of course, if the talks fail, Grandma is not afraid. With the Black Mountain Old Demon, she may not really be afraid of Xiaoming's backers. Although Xiaoming's means of resurrection are somewhat horrifying, there is also a feeling of learning from others. It is weird but lacks deterrence. Grandma is also an old demon for many years, and she was not completely scared. In her little calculation, the backers of both sides should be the same. But if you want to invite the Black Mountain Old Demon, the price you pay is even higher. So it is better to reconcile with Xiaoming privately, and don't alarm the people behind him. His status in the Black Mountain Old Demon is average. This young man has low strength, but he has such a strange method. I am afraid that his backers value him very much. If he is really angry, even if the other party's backers can't do anything to the Black Mountain Old Demon, it will be easy to tear his face and deal with him. So Grandma hopes that this young man can be more rational. If he has the habits of a young man, it will be a bit troublesome. Based on these considerations, Grandma sent the most beautiful woman under her seat to receive Xiaoming and ask him some questions. When dealing with stinky men, Xiao Qian will definitely be able to catch them easily. If Xiaoming is that kind of dandy, he will definitely fall at the feet of Xiao Qian. Xiaoming entered the reincarnation world as his original body. He is 37 this year. Why do others still call him young man when they see him? One of the reasons is that Xiaoming looks a bit young, and the more important reason is that Xiaoming has strengthened his body several times. Life essence, dual energy, and qi training techniques all have the effect of improving physical fitness. After the age of 20, the physical fitness of ordinary humans begins to decline, and it is more obvious after the age of 30. Good living habits and people who like to exercise can slow down this downward trend. But these healthcare methods of ordinary humans are too low compared with the various magic arts of the mysterious side. The result of improving physical fitness on the mysterious side is to change the life form of a person, which is almost the same as rejuvenation, or even stronger. In fact, at this time, Xiaoming's lifespan has exceeded that of ordinary humans by a large margin. If calculated in proportion, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is now a teenager. From the appearance, Xiaoming looks like a young man in his 20s. So it is not surprising that he has been misunderstood many times. When the body is young, desires in all aspects will also become younger. Saints say that food and sex are also human nature. So when Xiaoming saw Xiao Qian for the first time, he was also amazed, and his saliva flowed longer than before. How could Xiaoming, a loser and otaku, resist the charm of Nai Xiaoqian/Wang Zuxian in the 1987 version? This world created by the reincarnation space is a magical modification based on the 1987 version of a Chinese ghost story, supplemented with some fairy magic and sorcery. Wang Zuxian, who is truly full of ghostly aura, is several times better than in the movie. It's a pity that this stunning beauty didn't last long, because Xiaoming quickly concentrated his mind power on his eyes, ears, nose, tongue, etc. Although Xiaoqian is extremely beautiful, she is still a female ghost in essence. After Xiaoming's true form is revealed, her temptation is greatly reduced. Xiaoming also managed to escape the disaster. How many time travelers couldn't make it? Along the way, Xiaoming and Xiaoqian were perfunctory, but they were secretly thinking about how to deal with the current situation. He could probably guess what the grandmother was thinking, but it was not so easy to really scare the grandmother. Because pretending to be cool also depends on strength. If he can't prove that he really has a powerful backer behind him, he will probably have to die if he wants to get out today. When he came to the pavilion created by Grandma's magic again, Xiaoming's identity had become a guest. Grandma arranged a banquet to entertain Xiaoming, and there were also a group of beautiful female ghosts singing and dancing to cheer him up. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes. Before Grandma could test him, Xiaoming clasped his fists and bowed to Grandma. "Grandma, please, I have an unwelcome request, I don't know if I should say it or not." "Mr. Zhang, please go ahead. Your specially brewed daughter's red wine is really mellow. I wonder if I can ask Grandma for some, I'm afraid I won't be able to drink such good wine on the road ahead." Grandma saw that Xiaoming had nothing in his hands, not even a backpack, and no place to put the wine. Immediately knew that Mr. Zhang wanted to show some tricks. This was exactly what Grandma wanted. He readily agreed and asked Xiao Yao to send more than 10 jars of good wine, just to see what tricks Xiaoming had. But a beauty in strange clothes, black suit, suddenly appeared beside Xiaoming. With a wave of his hand, he put more than a dozen jars of wine into the housekeeper's space. After that, the man stood behind Xiaoming with his hands behind his back, looking like a servant. It was Xiaoming's uniform beast, the housekeeper. It was a bit interesting. The means of storing things in this space were not surprising. Grandma also knew a few tricks. But this beast housekeeper was too strange. It was neither a god, Buddha, or a celestial being, nor a demon or a ghost. It did not look like a living being, but it had the breath of life. It looks like a mechanical puppet, but it has no entity. If it is a spirit, why is there no magic weapon? It is really a strange beast. Even with my broad vision, I can't recognize what it is. I was shocked. Xiaoming is taking advantage of the limitations of my knowledge. Even if I haven't seen the immortal arts and Taoist magic, I have heard of it. There is a huge difference in strength in this aspect, and it is too stupid to make a move in this aspect. If you want to show yourself, you must win by surprise. In comparison, telekinesis and magic are more suitable. In terms of telekinesis, in addition to the housekeeper, maids and nurses have appeared one after another, all of which are home-based. It gives people the feeling that the elders specially assign it to the younger generation to take care of his daily life. The exquisite means make my grandmother amazed. In terms of magic, Xiaoming took the initiative to perform a hand of undead magic. Not wanting to use his own resources, Xiaoming specifically asked my grandmother for some corpses. As usual, he first used the death harvest and corruption spells, and then cast the summon skeleton on the skeleton. Looking at the 8 skeleton soldiers and 1 zombie, Grandma could no longer hide her inner ecstasy, and a bright smile appeared on her face. Similarly, this undead magic is not that great. The strength of the skeleton soldiers and zombies is cannon fodder in Grandma's eyes. What makes her happy is that Master Zhang Xiaoming is clearly the same as her. Xiaoming plays with zombies and skeletons, and she plays with female ghosts. One harms corpses, and the other harms souls. Neither of them is a decent person. Asterisk then this matter will be easy. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 157. What Grandma is most worried about is meeting a very rigid righteous cultivator, who is completely impossible to communicate with and cannot live in harmony with. As long as you don't kill him, he will keep pestering you. And you can't just kill him casually. These days, which cultivator doesn't have a master, brothers, and elders behind him? Even casual cultivators have a few friends of the same path. Don't look at Grandma killing people like flies, that's how she treats mortals. Her attitude towards cultivators is generally more cautious and careful, and she doesn't easily make deadly enemies. Yan Chixia has lived in the Lanruo temple next door for so many years. If Grandma really wants to kill him, it will definitely not be a problem to bring the Black Mountain old demon with him. But Grandma never killed Yan Chixia. Similarly, as long as the people Grandma killed were still lustful people, Yan Chixia never really did anything to Grandma. Of course, this is by no means to say that Grandma is a good person. No. She is definitely a bad guy. It's just that she should be considered a lawful evil camp. This camp abides by certain rules, and the rules of this world are basically power first. I saw Xiaoming kill his female ghost before, and he used the light ball technique. The light ball technique gave me the feeling that it was definitely the power of the righteous way. So my grandmother misunderstood that he was a righteous person and his skills were low. He was really not a cultivator at the first level of Qi training, so she killed him mercilessly. After Xiaoming came back to life many times, my grandmother secretly thought it was bad. So she lowered her attitude to communicate, and at the same time, there was always a knot in her heart. Most of the young righteous cultivators are the kind of people who are more rigid and hate evil. It is difficult to communicate. Xiaoming fits this kind of character background. How can this make my grandmother not worry? At this moment, the misunderstanding was resolved. Xiaoming was not only not a righteous cultivator, but also an evil cultivator like herself. The knot in my grandmother's heart was solved. At that moment, my grandmother no longer tried too much, but was extremely attentive. She showed a posture of treating a rising star well. Xiaoming also called him senior, with an attitude of learning from the senior masters. Business mutual praise. The two who were mortal enemies during the day were now chatting and laughing like old friends. The scene was extremely harmonious. A group of little demon female ghosts sang and danced beside them, and the guests and hosts were all happy. After the banquet, the grandmother ordered Xiao Qian to send Mr. Zhang to the guest room to rest and to serve him well. From the meaning of the grandmother's words, as long as Xiaoming was willing, Xiao Qian could stay as a third companion. This made Xiaoming feel a little itchy. It's a pity that dreams are beautiful, but reality is cruel. If it were any other female ghost, she would definitely take the initiative to throw herself into her arms. But Xiao Qian is different. She has always been at odds with her grandmother. She originally thought that Xiaoming should be a good person, and thought that her chance to escape from the sea of suffering had come. Unexpectedly, she saw such a scene at the banquet. Xiaoming's position in her heart plummeted, and he became a bird of a feather with the grandmother. So Xiao Qian took Xiaoming into a very ordinary guest room on her own initiative, and did not give Xiaoming a chance to stay. She left after saying a word. Xiaoming looked at the empty room after Xiao Qian left, feeling lost. Generally speaking, Xiaoming can roughly tell other people's intentions through the color and fluctuation of life energy. This is one of Xiaoming's magic weapons. But it didn't work here today. The reason is that every person here is scary black. They are all murderers and evil-minded people. Even nice Xiao Qian is the same. As the left and right arm of Grandma, the number of people she killed is probably second only to Grandma. Under the cover of this black curtain, it is difficult for Xiaoming to distinguish the subtle differences in everyone's emotions. It's like dropping a drop of blue potion in a jar of black ink, and you can't see any changes. So Xiaoming didn't know that Xiao Qian was acting on her own initiative, he just thought that grandma was still testing him, and he was not out of danger. As long as you open your mind, there will always be fun things. Lonely Xiaoming suddenly had an idea and decided to spend the night in the housekeeper space. After a lot of trouble in the reincarnation space, Xiaoming got new green source energy, and the original silver source energy also improved to a certain extent. They complement each other. In addition, he learned the Qi training formula. These three energies can be converted into telekinesis. Although the new green source energy and the Qi training formula are not much, they have brought about qualitative changes. This greatly increased the strength of Xiaoming's telekinesis. So the telekinesis beasts also followed suit. At this moment, the housekeeper's telekinesis beast space is 40 cubic meters, which is very empty. Xiaoming did some preparation work first. The main thing is to let the air with rich spiritual energy in the world of a Chinese ghost story spread to the entire housekeeper space. And you have to make some arrangements in the space. Provide enough energy in the space and make the temperature suitable for human habitation. In addition, spread out various items and put them in the corners to avoid bumping into them. You must know that there is no gravity in the housekeeper space. Everything in it is actually floating. If you are not careful, you might bump into it. Then Xiaoming, feeling uneasy, tried to let the housekeeper's mind beast take him into the space. I am so awesome. Xiaoming, floating in the housekeeper's space, had a cocky expression on his face. Real estate is so expensive now. Isn't it like I have an extra house for nothing? Although it is still a small house for the time being, it will definitely get bigger in the future. Besides, this house is so safe that no one can see me. Of course, I can't see what it looks like outside. The housekeeper space is a semi-independent small world. The communication with the outside world depends entirely on the housekeeper's mind beast. So Xiaoming began to make various attempts in the housekeeper space. First, Xiaoming determined that the continued existence of the housekeeper space would continue to consume Xiaoming's mind power. Because Xiaoming's mind power has grown to a sufficient strength, this consumption can still be maintained. Secondly, although Xiaoming can be in the space, the housekeeper's mind beast must be in the real world. It doesn't matter whether it appears or not. He is equivalent to an anchor, connecting the housekeeper space with the real world. Xiaoming would also guess what would happen if the mind beast was cancelled at this time. But Xiaoming didn't dare to try it at all. Then Xiaoming also introduced the sound, smell and light from the outside world into the housekeeper space. The specific method is to treat a wall of the space as a door or window, corresponding to a hypothetical plane in the real world. All light that shines on this plane, and sound waves and smells that propagate to this plane, can directly enter the housekeeper space. Of course, Xiaoming can also choose to close the doors and windows at any time to isolate the sound and smell, or isolate the light. Even completely isolate. In this way, he finally feels a little bit at home. The only regret is that gravity cannot be connected to the space, so Xiaoming can only float. But it doesn't matter, a small flaw is not a concern. Xiaoming is full of joy and excitement and named the housekeeper space Guangmingding. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 158. Maomoer was very dissatisfied with Xiaoming for choosing the name Guangmingding instead of using the USB he proposed. Maomoer was actually dissatisfied. He secretly thought that this was just Xiaoming's personal decision. It was hard to say whether it would be rejected by the big boss, Xiao Jing. Let's wait and see. The situation was tense before, so Maomoer had been hiding and did not show up until Xiaoming entered Guangmingding, then he ran out to take a walk. This half-day was really suffocating for him, because there was really nothing to do. Malmower could only think about human life, in a daze. As an artificial intelligence, Malmower is very dependent on hardware. Only when it is near the game cabin can Malmower connect to the computer system of the game cabin wirelessly, only then can it have relatively strong computing power and memory. Once it loses contact with the game cabin, its computing power is not much better than that of ordinary people, and its information collection from the outside world is probably about the same as that of a small pet. Almost all of his information is stored in the hardware. Malmower, who is separated from the hardware, finds that he remembers very little. Moreover, the hardware available for him to use must also be specially made. In addition to the computer system of the Nine-Tailed Fox series, only Xiaoming's soul can accommodate him. But Xiaoming's soul only supplies him with energy, but does not provide him with a computer system. There is no need to talk about calculation and storage. So Mao Mao, who has lost contact with the game warehouse, is now more like a pet, a ghost-like pet, without entity. This is the first time that Mao Mao has lost contact with the game warehouse. In the past, in Pangu Star or Yanhuang 3-star system, Xiaoming was active in the area covered by the quantum communication system maintained by the Nine-Tailed Fox. Naturally, he would not lose contact, but now he has come to the reincarnation space. And it is a reincarnation world controlled or created by the reincarnation space. Losing contact is inevitable. So for the first time, Mao Mao faced the world alone with his soul without any hardware. He was at a loss. Looking at the cute and adorable little white fox, he didn't know what to do. Xiaoming thought it was so cute, and finally felt like watching a pet. After teasing Malmower for a while, Xiaoming accidentally asked about the reason for Malmower's abnormal behavior. Malmower was very aggrieved and explained the situation to the stupid owner. Xiaoming finally knew the reason. This is bad. Xiaoming had hoped that in the reincarnation space, Malmower's computing ability could help him well. What should I do now? Easy. Can't we just build a hardware ourselves? After building Guangmingding, Xiaoming's soul of invention, nonsense, was completely ignited. I was just thinking about tinkering with something, and I happened to encounter Malmower's matter. So I tinkered with this. What is the most suitable thing for Mao Mao? Xiaoming immediately had several options in his mind. Calculators, handheld game consoles, mobile phones, computers, terminals, there are many options. Some are more difficult, and some are relatively easy. Xiaoming finally chose the one he felt he needed most, Iron Blood Neza. Iron Blood Neza is a general equipment that Xiaoming is quite proficient in using in the game. It's not convenient to not have it in reality. I've always wanted to get one. But the technological level and material level of Iron Blood Neza are very high, far exceeding the technological level of the New Han Kingdom. Even its low-end version, Neza Type 6, is also advanced military equipment. Xiaoming, an ordinary citizen, is not allowed to own such items. So after thinking about it, the only thing Xiaoming can rely on is his telekinesis, or superpower. Before coming to the reincarnation space, Xiaoming's telekinesis potential had been almost tapped. There was no room to develop such a complicated thing. And Xiaoming didn't really need such an intelligent auxiliary robotic arm before. There really aren't many things that use Neza in real life. His main business is playing Magic Planet games and Secret Realms, where there is no shortage of Iron Blood Neza. It was only because he came to the reincarnation space that Xiaoming found that he couldn't do many things without Iron Blood Neza. It just so happened that Malmower needed another piece of hardware, and the computer system of Iron Blood Neza was just right for the little fox. Everyone is happy. The only thing to worry about is whether his own telekinesis can do it. Due to the source energy and the Qi training formula, Xiaoming's telekinesis system has added a lot of skill points. I just improved the housekeeper space and set up the Bright Summit, which consumed some of them. but there are still many surplus points. Let's give it a try. Xiaoming closed his eyes, held his breath, and concentrated on recalling every aspect of the iron-blooded Neza in the Bright Summit. Xiaoming's developed telekinesis ability is mainly divided into two parts: Uniform Temptation Series telekinesis beasts and alien clones. In addition, the simple imitation skills of Bounce and Bomb can only be regarded as a side dish. The Uniform Temptation Series telekinesis beast originated from the imitation of the telekinesis ability of his friend Zhang Wen. It didn't take much effort to develop it, because it is a personal hobby of the otaku. Hehe. The emergence of the alien clone ability was an accidental event. The game's artificial intelligence system, that is, the nine-tailed fox, played a key role. Do you remember the situation at that time? In the secret realm of Alien vs Predator 1, Xiaoming was at the bottom of the underground pyramid. Using superpowers and telekinesis at the same time, he wanted to take over the body of an alien that was transforming. Normally, even if the possession was successful, Xiaoming would only have an extra alien body in this secret realm. Note that this is not a telekinetic beast. But something unexpected happened at that time. Xiaoming was kicked out of the secret realm, and the system showed that it was calculating. Later, after the game system completed the calculation, Xiaoming found that this alien clone was added to his mind ability. At that time, Xiaoming was in the magic planet. What everyone needs to distinguish is that there is a difference between Xiaoming's abilities in the game and his abilities in reality. After all, the abilities in the game are virtualized. Xiaoming's abilities in reality can be put into the game as long as his physical conditions allow. But if he wants to use his abilities in the game in reality, he must go through retraining and adjustment. Because Xiaoming's virtual body in the game is usually stronger than his real body, the energy in the virtual environment of the game is also higher than the real world. So most of Xiaoming's abilities in the game are many times more powerful than in reality. And some of Xiaoming's abilities in the game cannot be realized in reality. For example, strategic talent. The alien clone is the ability given to Xiaoming by the game system, the nine-tailed fox. Xiaoming is not very clear about what happened at that time. All we know is that the nine-tailed fox, based on a comprehensive assessment of Xiaoming's character's abilities and the situation at the time, believed that Xiaoming's character should possess the mind ability of this alien clone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 159. Since the Secret Realm character has obtained the telepathic power of the alien clone, Xiaoming's own telepathic power has autonomously digested and absorbed this new power. This also plays a role in subduing the telepathic beast teacher. Because Xiaoming has been using a little telepathic power to maintain the existence of the teacher's telepathic beast. There are some strange things in her textbook, so Xiaoming needs her to do some analysis work all the time. It is equivalent to Xiaoming's subconscious mind doing research. When the new telepathic beast appears, the teacher's telepathic beast automatically analyzes it. After the analysis is completed, Xiaoming realizes that he has learned another telepathic power alien clone. The new power also scared him at the time, and he even quickly quit the game and went to the real world to see if the alien clone could be used. When the alien clone appeared in reality, it means that the nine-tailed fox did not specifically open a plug-in for this telepathic power. Instead, it truly completed the method and principle of using this ability. This is why Xiaoming can use this ability almost anywhere after learning it. The boss made a move and it was V587. Xiaoming thought to himself, if it were me, even if I had the ability to develop, I probably wouldn't think of this direction. Here Xiaoming underestimated himself again. The nine-tailed fox could only fill in the gaps, but this direction was what Xiaoming subconsciously thought of in an instant. But even he didn't notice it. It was the nine-tailed fox that caught Xiaoming's idea at the time and continued to improve it to create a new ability. Although the idea was actually Xiaoming's, if the nine-tailed fox hadn't helped in time, this ability would have been missed. Xiaoming felt that he could only think of something at the level of Iron Blood Neza with his inspiration. He was already quite familiar with the use of Neza Type 6. But his proficiency in Iron Blood Neza was a little worse. After all, he had only obtained it a short time ago. It was still difficult to use telekinesis to materialize this equipment. If it weren't for the sudden increase in telekinesis, Xiaoming wouldn't even dare to think about it. He estimated that it would take at least 3 to 5 days to complete. This is still a relatively optimistic idea. If it doesn't work, it may take 10 days or half a month to study. In the end, you may even find that you can't simulate the iron-blooded Neza with your own ability. That's a complete failure. But what surprised Xiaoming was that by the early morning of the next day, this ability had been completed. It doesn't make sense. Xiaoming knows his own understanding and IQ, it's just average. The main reason for his achievements in telekinesis is the power of source energy, superpowers. It's easy to use high-end energy to play low-end tricks. In the hunter's secret realm, those hunters need years of hard work to develop a telekinesis ability. There are very few people like him who can get results in a few hours. This is not a natural talent. It can only be said that developing a uniform telekinetic beast series is very in line with the taste of otakus, and it is relatively easy. But the difficulty of simulating the iron-blooded Neza developed now is more than 10 times higher than that of the uniform series. How could it be so fast? This puzzled Xiaoming. Actually, this is due to the special effect of green energy. Xiaoming has made every effort he should have. Hot-blooded Neza, the name of the latest Nin ability. Compared with iron-blooded Neza, it is a full-function arm armor worn on the left arm. It basically has all the functions of iron-blooded Neza. It is just that in terms of liquid metal material, it is much worse than iron-blooded Neza. Because it is beyond Xiaoming's ability to simulate the material level of the iron-blooded warrior, he had to make do with simulating ordinary materials. Its software intelligence system is handled by MaleProtagonist, which also saves Xiaoming a lot of effort. In other words, this is MaleProtagonist's second home. At the beginning, Xiaoming almost copied iron-blooded Neza completely and made it into an arm armor for the right arm. But when it came to the game, the functions of the two arm armors were repeated. What a big mistake. Fortunately, he stopped in time and turned back. Hot-blooded Neza was still classified by Xiaoming in the uniform series. Its full appearance will be a high-tech full-body armor for women. Xiaoming has only completed a small part of it, which is the arm armor on his left arm. But why do we need to make armor for women? It's a long story. Xiaoming is a normal man, not a cross-dresser, nor a pervert. When he first simulated the uniform series of mind beasts, it was just for the sake of pleasing the eyes. He never thought that one day in the future, Xiaoming would wear these clothes himself. Later, in a secret realm, Xiaoming was naked for some reason. At that time, he designed a male uniform first and then wore it to cover his body. But if each uniform is made into 2 sets for men and women, it will consume too much mind power. The consumption of developing men's uniforms is several times that of women's uniforms. It's really a waste. So the development of men's uniforms was put into Cold Palace by Xiaoming. Later, Xiaoming had his own alien clone operated by consciousness. The bottom line was shaken. It's okay to turn into a monster, but also to face men mouth to mouth, parasitic alien embryos. Getting pregnant by kissing is pretty perverted. So Xiaoming's insistence was shattered into pieces. After all, she had already done things like kissing men and giving birth to children, so what was the big deal about wearing women's clothes? At this point, Xiaoming completely abandoned the concept of male uniforms. Even the ones that had already been designed were forgotten by Xiaoming. Save skill points. In order to develop his mind ability more efficiently, Xiaoming tragically embarked on the path of a cross-dressing master. Of course, until today, Xiaoming has never really worn women's clothes. He has worn alien clothes a few times, but you can't tell whether they are male or female. In order to save mind power, Xiaoming also set the alien clothes to female. Now there is one more, hot-blooded Neza. However, just the armor on the left arm can't tell whether they are male or female. So Xiaoming has only taken half a step on the road to becoming a cross-dressing boss for the time being. As for the future, I guess there is no hope. People are in high spirits when they are happy. Xiaoming, who developed the passionate Neza, was beaming with joy all day. Xiaoming was happy the whole time while touring the scenery, discussing Taoism, drinking, and appreciating the moon with his grandma. Grandma and the little demons were all confused. Is he so happy? Could it be that Master Zhang was really excited to meet a fellow Taoist like grandma? He didn't even mind being killed several times. Xiao Qian couldn't help but despise Zhang Xiaoming in her heart. He was too spineless. Grandma was very pleased, and even became more sincere when discussing Taoism with Xiaoming. Xiaoming benefited a lot. The road to becoming a cross-dressing boss was also a last resort. If it causes you discomfort, the author deeply apologizes. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 160. Xiaoming sighed, the time was too short, and he still learned too little from his grandma, but what he got was okay. Today, Xiaoming and his grandma got along very harmoniously. Grandma passed on some of her experience in Taoism to Xiaoming. Xiaoming also returned the favor and told his grandma some of his experience in magic. In order to allow grandma to better study the magic of the dead, Xiaoming also gave his grandma the skeleton soldiers and zombies he made yesterday. In fact, he had to give them away, because he couldn't get them back last night, and grandma had been holding them. Xiaoming was happy to go with the flow. The raw materials, corpses, were all provided by grandma, and Xiaoming was embarrassed not to share them with her, so he simply gave them all. In order to do a favor, Xiaoming even took out a set of creeper skeletons and summoned a creeper skeleton soldier for grandma. Grandma was overjoyed and wanted to give Xiaoming a few female ghosts as maids. Xiaoming was a little disappointed when he saw that Nai Xiaoqian was not among them. However, it was hard to refuse the kindness, so he still accepted the ghost girl Xiaohong and the tree demon Xiaolu. Although they were not as pretty as Xiaoqian, they were pure and lovely. The beauty knocked on the door first, and the rest was easy. Grandma gave Xiaoming a lot of things. A book on sword control, a book on 5 elements Taoism, and a book on alchemy. They were the most basic Taoist methods. In order to match these Taoist methods, she also gave 3 flying swords, an alchemy furnace, and a total of more than a dozen 5-element talismans. They were all low-level stuff. In addition, there were 2 small bottles of qi condensation pills, 1 small bottle of detoxification pills, and 1 small bottle of rejuvenation pills. There were also many medicinal materials for alchemy. Although they were all low-end things, they were just right for Xiaoming, who was in the qi training stage. He happily collected them. In order to make up for Xiaoming's loss of several resurrections, Grandma gave Xiaoming 2 protective magic weapons, 100 Ghost's Box and purple vine armor. The purple wisteria armor is made of the vines that my grandmother has shed from her body over the years, and it has been refined for 100 years with my grandmother's hard work. Its defensive power is not much inferior to the magic weapons of the immortals. But now my grandmother has reached a higher level and can no longer use the purple wisteria armor. The 100 Ghosts box is used to station troops and can hold hundreds of ghosts. As long as the ghosts are put into the box, they can be refined into ghost soldiers for the master to drive after a period of time. The ghost soldiers can be released and taken back at any time, which is a good magic weapon for both offense and defense. The strength of the ghost soldiers depends on the quality of the ghosts put in. These two treasures are not taken out to make up the number, they are real high-level magic weapons. They also have relatively strict conditions for use. It is the same as the buildings and machines in modern society, and regular maintenance and care are inevitable. The purple wisteria armor needs the tree demon Xiaolu to nourish it with true qi for a long time. The 100 Ghosts box needs Xiaohong, the ghost cultivator, to maintain it frequently with ghost, yin, qi. The way this grandma gave gifts was exactly the same as those old foxes in the game, all of them were paired. All aspects were taken into consideration. Once the deal was done, the grudge was gone. Xiaoming and Grandma both thought they were the ones who got the upper hand. Xiaoming felt that he had made a smart calculation. He had just embarked on the path of cultivating immortals, and these basic things were of great help to him. And the various experiences of cultivating the Tao that Grandma casually mentioned as trivial matters were even more precious treasures. And the two protective magic weapons. Tisk tisk, Xiaoming couldn't comment on them. As for the two pretty maids, Xiaoming said that he was a gentleman and was never tempted by beauty. Then, looking at the things Xiaoming gave to Grandma, they were all related to the magic of the dead. Haha, in this world where magic energy is almost zero, it would be a miracle if Grandma could research and produce results. But this is a hell of a world. Xiaoming really underestimated the foundation of the method of cultivating immortals. Wait for a slap in the face later. The routine of the necromancy magic can be easily seen through by Grandma, and it is not difficult to imitate it after seeing through it. The necromancy magic that Grandma will use in the future will be countless times higher than Xiaoming's level. Of course, this requires a high level of understanding. The stone from another mountain can be used to polish jade. Once this kind of thinking hole is opened, there will be a brand new road in front of Grandma. The future development is limitless. And Grandma paid only some low-end goods that are very common in the world of immortal cultivation, which is really cost-effective. The purple vine armor and the 100 ghost box are good things, but the purple vine armor is made with part of Grandma's body and blood. Even if it is worn by Xiaoming, the final ownership is still Grandma's own. As long as she is willing, she can use the purple vine armor to attack Zhang Xiaoming at any time. The 100 ghost box is a ghost magic weapon. Although it is very useful, it conflicts with Xiaoming's method. It can only be controlled by Xiaohong, who cultivates the ghost way. The urn of the ghost Xiaohong is still in the hands of the grandmother, which means that Xiaohong will eventually listen to the grandmother. As long as Xiaoming does not make an enemy of the grandmother, then it is good for you, me, and everyone. Once they fall out, the grandmother will have the upper hand. Of course, Xiaoming is also clear about this. He just misunderstood that the grandmother could not learn the magic of the dead. Xiaoming is not afraid at all, and even prepared a lot of countermeasures. Besides, as long as he leaves this world, Xiaoming does not believe that the grandmother can still cross the world to control these magic weapons and subordinates. Originally, the grandmother wanted to keep Zhang Xiaoming for a few more days and dig out some more things. But during the conversation, the grandmother's face suddenly showed a solemn look. It seems that something big has happened. After that, the grandmother hurriedly ended the communication with Xiaoming and sent him on his way. She was unwilling to keep him for another night. What happened to make Grandma lose her composure? Of course, it was because the plot started. The plot was supposed to start yesterday, but because of Xiaoming's appearance, it was delayed for a night. Last night, in order to entertain Mr. Zhang, Grandma did not send Xiao Qian and other female ghosts to hunt in the wild, so naturally the plot would not start. Tonight can't be wasted. So as soon as night fell, Xiao Qian went to Lanruo Temple. She met the male protagonist Ning Keichan. The turtle and the green bean were considered to be in love. Xiao Qian did not absorb Ning Keichan's yang energy, which was against Grandma's intention. After that, she even wanted to elope with this man, so how could grandma tolerate it? The betrothal gift has not been given yet. And the big-bearded Yanchixia, who originally did not interfere with her own actions, also intervened at this time. It really added fuel to the fire. At such a sensitive moment, grandma certainly couldn't keep Mr. Zhang, whose identity was unknown, behind. So after sending Xiao Ming away, grandma went to deal with the powerful enemy by herself. If she really wanted to fight, she wouldn't be afraid of the bearded man. Taking advantage of the night, Xiao Ming brought Xiao Hong and Xiao Lu to the town at the foot of the mountain and found an inn to stay. Xiao Ming had nothing left after many deaths. Except for the clothes he was wearing, everything else was lost. It was only because of the silver and items given by his grandmother that he didn't have to sleep outdoors. Before arriving at the town, the two girls couldn't show up, so Xiao Hong possessed the 100 ghosts box. Xiao Lu showed her true form, a daughter, possessed by the purple vine armor.